Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 87 of the What the Sheep podcast, where Alana and myself will be discussing, breaking down, and for certain, freaking out over Critical Role Campaign 3, episode 36. We had quite the banger last night, ladies and gentlemen, and NBs. Holy moly, the ultimate crossover we have all been waiting for, that we've all been talking about potentially happening, and we got it.
We're here. We did it.
We're here, and we're ready. But
Good job, everyone.
Exactly. But before we get into the festivities, Alana has something special that she's got.
Ooh, I got the tarot cards.
We've got the tarot cards. So we thought, what better way to start tonight's podcast than pulling a card? So Alana, without further ado.
All right. I don't know how you're meant to actually do it, but this is how I'm going to do it. So you tell me when to stop, Nico, and then I'll split the deck. All right, okay. I've started.
Are you doing it now?
I've started, yeah.
Okay, stop.
Okay. Now I'm going to put that on top. Now you tell me top or bottom card.
Oh, shit. Okay, let's go bottom.
Oh, I should show the cards here.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom? All right. So you've chosen the bottom card, which I'm going to reveal this way. Is it going to be... Why do I keep pulling this card?
Wait, what does it say?
I keep pulling this card!
Wait, which card is it? I couldn't see.
It's the Moon and Mirror card.
Oh!
And I keep pulling it.
Oh,
I got it on the Instagram effect thing. You know, the Instagram thing they did?
Yeah.
I did it and I got this card twice.
Oh,
and when I opened the box, this card was on top.
Oh!
What the fuck?
No way.
What the fuck?
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, folks. It's been a good one. But the moon, come on.
God.
What are the odds? What are the odds of that? That's insane.
I swear to God.
So if that doesn't tell you enough about how our theories are gonna go, I mean, hey, there it is.
Yep.
But with that being said, with that bolstering of confidence for our tinfoil hat theories, let us dive into last night's episode. We can kind of start with the Bell's Hells meeting Keyleth for the first time, or at least some of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aurum, works for Keyleth in a way, but the rest of the party, they don't really know who this is. They only have heard of her, and we got to see our baby Kiki again in the flesh, which is really nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, no, it was really kind of cool because she had that kind of air of authority around her that you would expect from someone that has been built up. Like, if you look at her from the perspective of the Bell's Hells, and if we try to forget everything we know about her from Campaign 1, you're like, oh, wow, this woman seems pretty powerful. Like, when she walks, grass grows from her cape.
Oh, so cool.
She's clearly very important, but then equally, she's still quite awkward. Like, she still has that social kind of anxiety of talking with people, which is just kind of really lovely to see that, like, no matter how powerful she gets, she's still the same Kiki.
100% agree with you on that point. And Matt has been a masterclass in playing these different previously PC characters, because he knows them so well. They've played these characters for years, and we can kind of go into a little bit of their New York City Comic-Con panel, because one of the questions was, how is it going back into the voices and acting as these characters of Vox Machina when you've gone through the Mighty Nine, when you're back into the Bell's Hells, now going back, and they're like, well, these Vox Machina characters, they're home to us. We're so used to these characters, and so Matt, as well as, as equally as the rest of them, knows these characters so well, and it can definitely slip into their shoes. And it definitely shows with Keyleth, being the voice of the Tempest, but then maintaining that sort of awkward, down-to-earth sort of feel that is Keyleth. It's really awesome, because even she was like, no, you can just call me Keyleth. You don't have to call me the the voice or the Tempest. Keyleth is fine. And it's awesome. It's awesome that he's able to
I feel like, too, there's a little bit of nostalgia she feels watching an adventuring party kind of doing its thing. And just, it's almost like looking back to your school days and be like, oh, I remember just hanging out with your friends all the time. Yeah, it's kind of really sweet. But no, Keyleth was amazing. Keyleth was wonderful. Watching Matt describe Keyleth and Liam's reaction to it,
Yeah.
it was really sweet. Like he was feeling it. I wish Marisha could have been at the table.
I know. That would have been so nice. It would have been so nice. But I just like to imagine Marisha having her own teary-eyed moment with Danny Carr in the other room,
100%.
watching on the screen. But it was very sweet. But then stepping through the portal created, through the tree, and entering Whitestone again. We're back. We're home. We're a home away from home. Whitestone.
It feels like wonderful. That though a little bit. It's like, oh, Whitestone was just the base in campaign 1, and whenever they returned, it felt like the end of an arc or the end of a major thing. They're like, hey, let's quickly go back to Whitestone and chill for a bit. So even though now they're coming to Whitestone with a mission, coming back to Whitestone does feel like, oh, we're coming back from holidays. This is home. It was a really nice feeling.
It is really nice, and we have to. It's also strange because it's been so long since we've seen Whitestone. Like in game years, it has been a while since we have seen this place, and it's interesting to see like post campaigns and post Briarwood Whitestone. What does that look like? Decades, from the fall of the Briarwoods and stuff, and it's flourishing, it's thriving, it's
looking good,
it's beautiful, it's awesome to see. Because then, as critters, the last time we saw Whitestone was in the Legends of Vox Machina, when it was decrepit and run down and destroyed and sad and depressing. Now seeing the complete opposite, under the rules of the Dorellos once again. It's awesome. It's enough, really enough to get a grown man all choked up and crying.
Because it feels like Whitestone in that midpoint of campaign 1 where they've dealt with the Chroma Conclave, things are going right, they're taking their year off. But even then, after that, then they had the threat of Vecna, so it's like they couldn't even relax, from what we could see, because we didn't spend a whole year role-playing, they skipped that, so we didn't get to see that downtime in Whitestone, the starting of the bakery and all this sort of stuff. It just kind of was. So, it's just like traveling to any other fully established, fully safe city, and it's really nice. And you're going there with like a hero of legend that was paramount in saving this town and saving the world multiple times over. So it's kind of really exciting.
Yeah, and to that point, not to jump ahead, but Orem, I remember Orem at one point whispering to like Imogen and being like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that these guys are legends."
Kind of a big deal,
yeah, they're kind of a big deal. And it's, I kind of had this thought as I was watching the episode, and when Liam said that, we come across different NPCs in different campaigns and such, like notably like Yusa or the Bright Queen or these other like major player NPCs, but we as the audience are like, damn, like these are big NPCs, these are powerful individuals, but we don't know their full backstory.
Yes.
But when we see Vox Machina as NPCs, and we know how legendary they are.
Yeah.
We're like, we then look at the Bell's Hells and we're like, yo, you need to be treating these people with respect, Like, you need to be bowing down before them, like, it's just interesting how much we care more about, these legendary Vox Machina characters with, the Bell's Hells meeting them, just because we know their story, we know everything they've done.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting in like comparing them to different legendary NPCs.
It's kind of like that feeling of in campaign 2 when they're at Yusa's place and Allura turns up.
Yeah.
And they were a bit like, well, this completely clears Yusa. Like if Yusa's friends with Allura, he's good in our books sort of thing. Which that's a choice. Yeah. But at the same time, it feels a bit like that. One, it's got to be hard not to metagame when you're playing against an NPC of your previous PC. But you're right, we know everything about these characters. So when they make a decision, when they say something or make a choice, we're like, oh, well, we know why they made that choice. This is like, meta-wise, out of character. we understand where that character is coming from. We can understand their motivations, why they're feeling that little joke they made. We get it.
Yeah.
Which it makes them completely different NPCs. They're almost DMPCs at this point, a little bit, because they're so fully backstoried and fleshed out from having played 120 whatever episodes. So I find it really interesting that it's a unique kind of NPC interaction, because you are obviously playing fresh people, meeting these for the first time, but you know everything about them, and but it was done so well. I can't wait I want to start talking about Percy, because that's probably the most interesting one.
And we can get into that because following on your train of thought there, because it is hard to not meta when you are talking to these NPCs and stuff. But I think the things that they said, while they were kind of layered in meta, because they were like saying certain like prodding things that were kind of meta, them. But it fit for the situation that they were in, and I felt like it was perfect for the things that they're asking, because like a lot of the sentiments that the Bellas Hells were asking and bringing up and pointing out was like have you lost anyone? Like, you don't know like what we're going through, but it's like yes we do. We have an undead compatriot, someone that has cheated fate and death. Like, do you know anyone like that? No, I get it. No, it was interesting. It was a really cool way to go about it. But I just I loved it. It was a good episode. It was really good. It was great.
Got together and talked about it.
It was great.
But we had
leading. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I think we're about to say the same thing.
I was gonna say leading into Percy. I think there were a couple times that I got chills this episode, and one of them for certain, and I'm sure many can relate, is when Kynan, who we can speak on again, Kynan, the Captain Kynan of Whitestone, the young boy who had a bit of a rough start in campaign 1, popping up here and there, is now a captain of Whitestone, which is very nice.
Good for him.
Said that the Lord is in. The Lord of Whitestone is in, and just that alone was like, oh man. Percy is in the castle.
I had a minor like panic that like it wasn't going to be Percy. It was going to be like his son or something, and like and like they'd done a swap or something, like, oh, when Percy's not in the castle, his son becomes Lord of Whitestone, sort of thing. And I was like, don't do this to me, Matt. You can't do this. But I feel like the implication was clear that it was, it's safe to bring Percy in. It's fine. We can have Percy. And boy, did we get Percy.
Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Keyleth and Percy interact, as it seemed as Keyleth was pulled elsewhere, and we can kind of briefly pivot and talk about that, because this is something that you and I talked about in the podcast about, because the solstice is coming up, all of these different parties and entities that are going to want to capitalize on an Apogee Solstice. We literally talked about this and who would want to be a part of it, and we even talked about how maybe Allura and possibly Keyleth, these like good-willed, powerful mages and magical users, are going to want to have a checks and balances with other powerful entities to make sure no one is going to try anything nefarious. This is something we have actively talked about, and it's awesome because that is what Keyleth is worried about, and that is what she is trying to do. She is trying to maintain these checks and balances with these other powerful entities to make sure no one is going to be going off the rails when the Apogee Solstice hits. So it was really awesome that was confirmed. That is what Keyleth is trying to do.
It's kind of like they just spewed all their information to her about like the Nightmare King and Otan Thor, and they're just like, Apogee Solstice. It's just like, oh, that's cute, kind of thing. Like, I'll add it to the list. I've got the list of things she said, because I like to think that these are all going to come back at some point. We don't know, but she said someone's doing a ceremony in Vasselheim. So they're trying to hold off the betrayer gods. Archmages are at work. They need to be monitored. And it was something about like like priests of the betrayed gods are actively working against the priests of Vasselheim that are actively working against them.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like fun stuff going on.
And we can assume a couple of things. The Archmages, we can obviously assume that it is revolved around Ludinus and perhaps other members of the Cerberus Assembly. As far as the priests of the Betrayer Gods, we can maybe assume that they are potentially working with the Ruidusborn, or potentially working in parallel with attempting to release the Forgotten Gods, if we consider the Forgotten Gods allied with the Betrayer Gods, maybe. But we can obviously assume that if these priests of the Betrayer Gods are disconnected from the Ruidusborn, that they are just simply acting on their own accord, in their own self-interest, trying to bring the Betrayer Gods back to Divine Gate.
They're always going to be doing something.
Yeah.
Them Betrayer Gods.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this is
she's busy.
Definitely a stressful time for Keyleth and Allura and anyone else that hopes to maintain peace during this time period.
But it is nice because it does kind of take away the implication of Keyleth's just going to pop up and help them whenever she can.
Yes.
So no, it gives a very it's a nice way for the DM to be like, hey, yeah, sure, Keyleth is here now, but it's not a constant thing. And I think it's very specific. She's here now because this is important to Laudna's resurrection. So, but you know, when you're fighting Otathan Thul on Ruidus, Keyleth's probably not going to turn up.
Yeah, which again puts kind of our potential concerns at ease, because like this is something we'd also talked about, where it's like, if they do end up going to Keyleth and they go to Whitestone and they get these powerful allies in Vox Machina, what's to stop them from just going to them all the time when these big things come up? Well, now we have an in-game reason why. It's because Keyleth and all these other parties are working in a similar vein of trying to stop these things from happening, but they have so much on their plate that they have to deal with that the Bell's Hells are now allowed to have their own story, work through their own thing, since everyone else is going to be very, very busy.
Vox Machina is busy. Let's go find the Mighty Nine.
And that's the other thing. If Keyleth is concerned about these powerful Archmages in the Cerberus Assembly, again, something else we talked about was Caleb has a very close relation to the Cerberus Assembly. Bo, in the Cobalt Soul, is all about the balance of corruption and weeding that out. So there is still a strong possibility that the Mighty Nine comes back into this. It's it's exciting. It's actually
very exciting. It's
but
very exciting.
What again I am concerned about is I kind of wish that some of this stuff was happening, like, let's say, in the upper episodes, like 80 plus, 90 plus for the Bell's Hells. Yeah. Because it is still very, very early.
The Apogee Solstice is happening in like a month.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, because it's kind of, I agree. A lot of it's like, oh, I want to go explore Chetney's backstory, or I want to go to this cool town we've never heard of. But it's like, go, go, go. They have a deadline. They have things they need to get done in this time. Even this here in Whitestone's a bit of a distraction because it's not on the to-do list of, things to get done before the Apogee Solstice. It's a matter of necessity that they're here right now. So I agree. I kind of wish it was maybe at higher levels later in the campaign because, that's just the build up for that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's because and I don't want to say missing because I don't want people to take that the wrong way, but it does feel like we're missing some of those early campaign low-level adventures that you get in a campaign. That said, we've had that twice already. So I think it's okay for it to be a little bit different, still not without missing some of those elements. But no, it's stressful. It feels like it does feel like TravelerCon's coming and we're not ready.
Right. Yeah, it definitely feels that way, and it feels like another reason why I wish that this was later, or why I would have liked if it was later, like this stuff happening, is because then it would feel like the Bell's Hells is on a bit more of an even playing field with like Vox Machina or with the Mighty Nine if they end up making an appearance. Because right now, with all of this crazy shit that's happening with the Apogee Solstice, potential second calamity coming, just all of these very powerful nefarious entities coming into play. It's very much like, well, Bell's Hells can't really do anything about it. Like, they're not powerful enough to really stand against these powerful entities. Vox Machina are. So in this episode, and like in this scenario that they're in, it would have been cooler if Bell's Hells were very powerful, you know, like level 10 plus. So where it's like they actually can hold their own. They can hold their ground. They can stand with Vox Machina against these forces. But right now, it's more so like, well, I guess we just pass the reins on to more powerful people because we are kind of out of our element here. We are kind of, this is too big for our britches. This is above our pay grade. You know, we are not capable enough to stand against these things, which kind of takes away from the Bell's Hells a bit.
Yeah, that's kind of their attitude, isn't it? It's very much just like, we need to find help, find someone that's going to deal with this, essentially. I think that, the current mindset is to find help rather than do it themselves, which, you know, that's if you're facing the challenges that they're facing, I would be like, oh, I need to get someone else to deal with this because I don't want to deal with this. This is too much. But that's maybe for when they go to EOS, they might be able to find something there. Maybe a gold dragon friend to help them out. But yes,
exactly. And I fully trust Matt to give Bell's Hells the story that they deserve and that they need to make them feel triumphant, even though they do have these powerful allies. Because again, he did pull Keyleth away, and again, there is, as we continue on with meeting Percy, there is some resistance there in wanting to help Bell's Hells. Obviously, with what we learn further. But I guess with all that being said, we can kind of go into them meeting the Lord of Whitestone for the first time and being able to see Percy for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah.
Honestly.
He hasn't changed.
Cool. Hasn't changed at all. He does have a cane now. That just lends to him being a bit older. A bit of an older fellow.
I wonder. That's what we're saying about, Vox Machina are able to take on these threats. I'm wondering, like, they've gotten older. Like, apart from Keela,
that's true. Yeah.
I guess with her timeless body and things like that. Like, even Vex would have gotten a bit older. If they're not constantly finding conflicts, you got to wonder if, like, game mechanically wise, if they've dropped levels, things like that. That being said, they're still, like, I'm sure, very powerful, very
very capable,
formidable foes. But we see older Percy with his cane and his what's the word? Short tether and. Dude's busy and stressed. All right, so I think he's
been working hard, and also the clock tower being completed, which was very, very cool to see. As we know, that was like a very specific thing that Taliesin had wanted Percy to do at the end of campaign 1 when they were doing their wrap up and stuff. Taliesin wanted Percy to create this clock tower that told their story of the Mighty Nine, or not the Mighty Nine, Vox Machina. Getting campaigns mixed up now. It's bound to happen with all of these crossovers.
Yeah.
But then further meeting. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he was friendly. Like he was. Yeah. Oh yeah. He was, because they've come with a personal recommendation from Keyleth, so. Yeah. He's gonna not ignore that, I don't think. That's why he was more than kind of happy to listen to them and hear what they had to say and discuss these things. They might have been leaving out one bit of pertinent information, but at the same time, he was eager to help them as he could. I think just the connection of Whitestone and the connection of who Laudna is specifically, that's what very much kind of rocked him and then rocked him and socked him and then made him kind of focus up a bit on this.
Well, yeah, because and again, adding to that point, like Laudna and just the Sun Tree and like who Laudna represented during that time holds and bears so much emotional weight for the entirety of Vox Machina, very specifically Percy, that, yeah, seeing Laudna again is gonna rock the boat a bit. That is going to, you know, bring back so many different memories, so many different emotions, that it will grant Bell's Hells, you know, further audience and further, you know, further humoring, if you will, just because of what Laudna means to him. Because yeah, like if I feel like Keela's recommendation alone is enough to give Percy some pause, but knowing Percy, if there really wasn't much else that Bell's Hells was going to provide, he probably would have just brushed them off.
He very much said, like, well, thank you for bringing her back, like, bringing this daughter of Whitestone back to rest, like, full stop. Like, no, but, yeah, I think it was just how important that scene all the way back in campaign 1 meant to the characters, and how much it did actually impact them, knowing that although not through their own actions, this was as a result of them standing up to the Briarwoods. There has to be a mix of guilt and regret and sadness and all these terrible emotions, which even though as you defeat the Briarwoods and hopefully, you know, to some extent not vindicate, that's not the right word, but, you know, like avenge these people that were murdered in your image, there's still got to be a lot of emotions there. And then to see one that has been somehow reborn and living for the past 30 years and is seemingly a decent person that has friends, there's a lot going through this man's mind at this moment.
Yeah. Yes. And adding to that, really on point, when Vex eventually came in, kind of branching off of what you were saying and answering your statement, even Vex was like, yeah, we have to do what we can to bring Laudna back, because we were the reason that she died in the first place, you know, as a threat to us. So we kind of owe it to Laudna to bring her back and kind of finally put an end to this story of the Briarwoods. So 100%, there is so much weight tied to Laudna in a metaphorical sense and a physical sense, as Delilah is weighing heavily down on Laudna's soul, which was really, really interesting. But before we get into all of that deep darkness, we can touch on a few wholesome things leading up to all of that. I think first and foremost being Gwen. Seeing little Gwen.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. That was so great.
So cool. We were saying before the episode.
Yeah, literally. You messaged me right before.
We just want to see Gwen. Yeah. Just give us Gwen, please. Oh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. I love the voice. Oh my god.
The little, like, British urchin voice. Like, Daddy.
Hello,
Father.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Father. Yeah, that's adorable.
It's so good. Oh my god.
But she's so cute. She's like a little stealthy little nerd. A stealthy nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice.
Oh, man.
It was wonderful.
That was really cool.
Wonderful seeing that.
We got a bit of the twins, a bit of Wolf and what's the other girl? What's the girl's name?
I think
Leona, yes. Yeah. Bit of twin. I don't know, it's like twin action. Bit of twins.
No, that was wonderful. And then obviously, then seeing Vex again was very nice, coming back from a hunting trip. Very, very on par, very in character.
I liked how formal Keyleth and Percy were together. It was very much like, hello, Lord of Whitestone. Yes, hello, Voice of the Tempest.
Yeah.
Like, all right, pleasure doing business with you. Goodbye. Because there's strangers here in front of them. Whereas Vex just walks in like, I'm so sweaty. Like, I've been hunting all day. She's just like, oh, I should go change, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. Perfect. And also, it's
no, I was gonna say it's just so in character. Like again, it's just a testament to Matt knowing these characters so well and how they would react in this situation. It's perfect.
It's really nice because, as you say, even though we've had all of campaign one, we know how it ends. Like we know that Vex is, happy in her lot with life. Like she's doing really well for herself. But the last time we've really seen Vex has been campaign one, season one of Legends of Vox Machina, where she's a completely different person at this stage. So seeing her go from that to this character now who's just like living her best life, really. Like she's got her family, she's got her city, she's got her wealth, which is very important. It's nice. It's so nice. I didn't think we were going to get this many NPCs. I thought we were going to get maybe one character if we were lucky. Like outside of Keyleth, I thought we'd be lucky if we got one more Vox Machina character. Yep. And Matt's just like, here, have them all, sort of thing. So that was really wonderful when she turned up as well. When Matt described it, I thought it was going to be Vespa. I thought it was the daughter.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then nope, straight up Vex. Awesome. No.
Yeah, I remember having like a conversation with my chat during the pregame hype stream yesterday of like, what are the odds of different Vox Machina characters coming in? And I thought it was, I actually didn't think Percy was going to be around. I thought it was 100% going to be Vex, then maybe Percy, then like maybe Pike, depending on how far they got. But I was pleasantly surprised at how many NPCs we got. And people are wanting us to talk about the confusion, as some people are confused as to why Gwen was or is a tiefling, and that is due to Percy, of course, making a pact with a demon or a fiend, I believe, named Ipkesh, as I had to pull up the wiki to remember their name. But yes,
dude in a bar.
Due to a deal or pact that Percy had made with a fiend, Gwendolyn is a tiefling, because of that pact that was made. Yes. Percy made a literal deal with the devil.
Dis, wasn't it? That was in Dis. They were in the plane of Dis, I think, when that happened with the city of Dis. So she's like a Dis-based tiefling. I don't know. But no, she's like but it's still adorable.
It is.
It's still so cute.
It is very cute. Very, very cute. It was, and then moving forward with these different NPCs, Pike, brilliantly performed by Matt Mercer.
Oh my god, that was probably the best. I think the best characterized NPC was of Pike. She's good.
It was great. And then the first okay was just so good, so good. And the cast reaction to that, just the whole, like, everyone's smiling when Pike comes into the scene. Brilliant.
She hasn't changed. Like the absolute cannonball of a gnome that she is.
Yeah.
Just like running up the stairs screaming Percy's name.
Percy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so wholesome.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's wholesome, but then we have, as the audience, the dramatic irony of the situation that we're in. And how, while it is all smiles and rainbows with Pike and seeing Percy again, we know that soon enough they are going to realize that Delilah Briarwood is connected to this whole situation they find themselves in. So it's like, yeah, we can relish and enjoy this beautiful scene as it unfolds initially, but at the back of our minds, we're like, oh boy, this is going to take a dark turn eventually once they realize the gravity of this situation.
Yeah. It was definitely, like I said before, it was something that they didn't necessarily on purpose keep out. Like they weren't lying about Delilah, but they were definitely withholding that information. They had talked about her connection with Delilah, which from the NPC's point of view would have been, oh yeah, because Delilah's the one that killed her and put her up on the tree. So it was a little bit, it's going to come out eventually. There is going to be a recognition here of what's going on with Laudna. Even when they began the first ritual, like I think it was like a like she didn't try true resurrection. It was like just oh gosh, I had it like listed somewhere what she initially did, but she tried a resurrection spell. Raise dead, that's correct. She tried raise dead. As it's happening, I'm just like, oh god, they should have told them. They should have said something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Matt was able to work that into the story. Not dissimilar, I feel, to Nott's first attempt at transformation.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was a very similar kind of moment to that of like, we're doing it. It's happening now. Something could go wrong. And we get the confirmation that, there's another soul here and it is latched on. We can't separate it with this spell.
And that was the other time that I'd got chills when Pike was like, there's another soul here. It's like, oh shit, the cat's out of the bag. They're gonna know and they're gonna shut it down.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Percy's just like, that's it.
Yep. That's done. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. But then that alone then leads to, the following scene of, Ashton.
Because that was the break, wasn't it? That was the
Like,
there's another soul here. It's Delilah Briarwood. Let's go to break. It's like
Yep. Because again, as the Bells Hells, their knowledge of Delilah is pretty limited only to what Laudna has kind of told Imogen and to what Aurum has kind of relayed as well. So the Bells Hells, they're like, okay, Delilah is no good, evil baddie, but they don't exactly fully understand the meaning of that. Now, for Vox Machina, because we know their story, we know what Delilah's all about, so we can understand Percy wanting to shut it down and wanting to have nothing to do with it as the Bells Hells, and what is a genuine and real reaction from like Ashton specifically, they don't fully understand that. So like, no, like we have to do this. We have to get this done. We have to bring Laudna back. She is good despite all of this terrible things that have happened to her. Laudna is the opposite of all of this. Yeah. She is a good person and she deserves to come back. She doesn't deserve this. So again, it's that interesting using meta knowledge, but not being meta, but still using it to make the story better and to create interesting scenes is just very well role played by all of them.
And you've got to kind of like put it into a perspective of, imagine if they were just doing this with some random NPCs, like a really powerful cleric and a really powerful king of some other continent that they'd never heard of before, that we'd never heard of before, and this was the reaction. It's like, there's another soul here, it's this person's name, and that other sovereign of it was like, that's it, shut it down, we're done. The reaction would be the same. It'd be like, wait, why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like the way Ashton responded to it, the way Imogen responded to it, saying like, no, this is not good enough. Like, you need to do more. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, dude, like, come on, help us, please. It's the exact same reaction they had when Percy was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. Even though we know 100% his reasoning for it, and 100% why he doesn't want to do it. I like that they managed to play that scene out, like kind of truthfully, non-meta, I guess would be the.
And it creates
phrase.
A very, very interesting potential divide in the audience as well, because you'll have like maybe the diehard Campaign 1 fans who are 100% siding with Percy. It's like, we don't want Delilah back. And then there's like maybe the people who came in Campaign 2 or even just started with Campaign 3 where they're like, what is this guy talking about? Like, bring Laudna back. So it's an interesting dynamic within the game, and it also creates an interesting dynamic outside of the game with the audience and stuff. It just creates such an interesting divide.
I've seen a lot of discussion about, again, of both sides, but especially of people calling out Percy, being like, what a dick. Like, what are you doing, Percy? It's like, no, this is really in character for him. This is so on brand. I don't think Percy was even necessarily being as dickish as he could have been in this scene. Like, he was just being Percy, like straightforward, a bit like, he's a bit quippy sometimes, but like, he's straight up saying, no, Delilah Briarwood is not coming back. My children aren't going to live in a world with Delilah Briarwood. I'm saying no. And they even then managed to get him to a position of, if you can find a way to do this without Delilah coming back, I might consider it. Which I love. Like, in response to that, Vex was just like, let's just go to Pike's house and do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I feel like Percy felt a bit like the only adult in the room for a little bit of that scene. But again, that's just because we know who Delilah Briarwood is and what their history together is. From the Bells Hell's perspective, and as you say, from like maybe newer critters' perspective, it's a bit like, well, why not just try? Like, just do it. Like, how bad could it be, sort of thing.
It can be real really bad. Nice. It can be real bad.
Yeah. Bad's the answer.
And again, I think creating scenarios like that, as it does seem like maybe the new recruiters don't fully understand the gravity of what's happening here. I think it still is good storytelling to create these scenes or these story elements that cause a divide in not only the players in the cast, but also the audience. I think it's good to then have those discussions. Obviously,
for healthy discussion.
Healthy, good discussions. There should be no attacking. There should be no like condemning of Matt's decisions as Percy and stuff. There should be none of that. There should be good, healthy conversation, because it is like situations like this have a lot of weight to them. There should be a conversation that happens, and I think it's good for this story that these things do happen. That there is like a discussion to be had.
Yeah.
So I love it, but again, only healthy, no attacking, none of that shit. Cut that shit out. No one likes it. It's toxic. Don't do it.
Honestly, for the most part, it's all been pretty positive. I only saw like maybe one overtly super negative comment, which, as far as a Critical Role episode goes, only one super negative comment's pretty okay.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
So for the most part, a lot of people, even if they were angry at Percy, they were still like, their anger was valid, because it's like, things didn't go the way we wanted them to do. I'm going to be angry at the person that made that call. But at the same time, I'm just like, fucking Percy, love you too much. I can't be angry with you. Like, you're so valid. You made such a good point. And also because from my meta point of view, it's like, they're going to still do something to get Laudna back. This is not full stop. Like, I know that even if Percy's just like, no, they're still going to try something. Like, something's going to happen. So, I can still enjoy the story.
Exactly.
Of Percy just being like, this is my castle. Like, how dare you? It's good stuff.
But then before we dive into them entering this, shadow realm, beginning the ritual to untether Laudna and Delilah's souls, we did have a very brief scene with Ashton and Percy.
Yes.
Obviously, good. The meta alone in this, Talison's characters, going head to head, but also a very interesting dynamic between the two of them, as they both have gone through kind of similar things. Ashton going into the fact that they've lost everything, they've lost a lot. They're trying to find like a purpose again, and that purpose is this group. Kind of parallels Percy's story in a way, and like a similar sort of arc.
Ashton seemingly, although they don't necessarily have memory of it, but seemingly comes from some kind of powerful clan or family, or their parents at the very least were in some form of power, and some catastrophic event happened which caused them to become an orphan. And now, we see not necessarily, although Percy's was all about revenge and, gaining the power to take revenge. Ashton's is very much about like being able to heal and find family and put all that behind them, but it's catching up to him seemingly. I did like the parallels, and I did like the way they handled that conversation, and it was a little bit too, as we said before, of Taliesin being able to prod specific little things that would resonate with Percy, without it being meta, without it being like out of character for Ashton to say these specific things. So it was really nice to be like, you know, Percy almost trying to like teach Ashton a lesson of like, you know, you've got to grow, you're young, this is how the world works, sort of thing. And Ashton's like, yeah, we fucking know. Like, how dare you? You could do something about it. This is like, no, it was nice. It was really nice. And I thought it was perfect characterization again by Matt for Percy. His lines were good.
Like, I know, and especially because after Ashton gave, or Taliesin gave a brilliant speech as Ashton about, you know, their life and stuff, and then Percy just being like, "Are you done? Are you good?
Yes. That's so good.
Did you say everything you wanted to? All right."
Yeah, and then Ashton, typical kind. I love Ashton's. He does this thing where he's like, he's very much downplaying what he's trying to say. He's like, well, I've got something else for you if you want it. 100% he was going to punch him. Like, that was 100% a fist in his face. Like, I have something else if you want it. That had to have been like a balled up fist. And then when Percy's like, there's nothing you have that I could possibly want, you can see like the wheels in Ashton's brain turning a bit of like, do I do it? Do I give it to him? But no, it was a really, really fun interaction. But I did like, Percy gave good advice. Percy was just like, this is essentially the lot you've been given. You've got to make something to do with it. What would he say? You're a small fish in a big pond. Make some waves. Like do what you can. And you're on the right path. Just don't fucking bring back Delilah Briarwood. I think I'm pretty clear on that point. No, it's good. Good stuff.
It's a really, really awesome scene. Followed by closely another really awesome scene. With FCG.
Before that, when Ashton left Ashton
with
Percy punched a statue, which alerted the guard bears.
Trinket. Oh my gosh, adorable.
Baby.
Matt sinking into Trinket voice again.
Yes. He does that so well.
Yeah,
he does like sad bear sounds really well. But he's looking old. He's so old.
Yeah, an old bear.
Buddy. And a little baby Charlie. Baby Charlie. Well, probably not baby, but you know. Charlie and unnamed partner. I don't think they've given a name for Trinket's partner, but it's so cute. Yeah, just Trinket's still around. I don't think canonically Trinket can die, because I don't think Laura would allow it.
No.
But it's very sweet. It's goddamn castle with 3 bears roaming around. So stupid. No, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It was a nice break from the tense conversation of Percy and Ashton.
But then we did go to Pike's house.
But then, we go to Pike's house where we have the wonderfully wholesome scene of FCG realizing that they are a real boy.
He's a real boy! He's got a soul!
Boy. He has a soul.
He really does have feelings.
He really does.
He really does care. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
gorgeous.
Really nice. Yeah.
And the fact that their soul was kind of like, you know, it didn't follow the shape of their metal. It was just their kind of encompassing of being, and the fact that the Changebringer is focusing on FCG or has some kind of connection to FCG. Ooh, I love the Changebringer so much.
Yeah. No, that was awesome because again, like during
Oh god, that's horrifying question. Whose soul does FCG have?
Oh god.
Don't like that question.
Oh god. Logan, no. No. But again, like I remember back when they were resurrecting Orem and Fern, when the coin was brought up, the facial expression that Matt had where he's like, I'm gonna use this.
I'm gonna use
this. For something in the future, and I think the Changebringer is definitely going to be a player in FCG story.
Changebringer's really good for FCG because even this little bit we got when FCG learnt they had a soul, it's like, oh no, I have to live now. Like what?
Yeah.
It didn't matter before. Like none of it. Not so much none of it mattered, but their existence didn't seem to matter before. Now knowing that they have a soul and having the Changebringer as a patron, or at least as a guiding force of the Changebringer, is all about, you know, going your own path and finding your own way and making these decisions for yourself. For that to be the focus for an automaton who's like, you know, my role was to serve. I feel like my job is to serve people and to heal people and to make them happy. What does it mean for me to have free will and to have a soul and to make my own path? It's very existential, very quickly for FCG. But I'm excited for them to kind of explore that aspect of FCG's character of, well, what do you do if you, maybe you don't want to be, what if you don't want to be a cleric anymore? Maybe, what if you don't want to help people? Like, you're naturally empathetic, but what if that's not what you want to be anymore? Like, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
The killer bot. What if that's what you want to
be? Yeah, 100%. What if that's more appealing to you in this situation? Changebringer would be like, sweet, go for it.
Yeah.
Probably not. But no, it is really nice, this kind of aspect of FCG's character of now they've always had free will, but now they know they have this free will and this soul to do things with. And the threat of death and non-existence is real to FCG now.
Yep.
So it's very exciting.
There is a lot more that weighs on FCG for sure. And I can understand where FCG is coming from, where he was like, well, it all matters now. And then Orm was like, well, it's always mattered. Where it's like, yes, it has always mattered, but now from FCG's point of view, now it really, like, every choice they make has much more weight to it now, that they do have a soul. So it's going to be interesting to see how FCG then progresses with this. But as, you know, Chetney said, in the short term, you have a tether to worry about.
Yes. Can we just acknowledge, though, that Pike's soul is like a flaming avatar with wings? Like, he's so fucking badass. Like, so cool. Meanwhile, she's like, to them, a baker. It's wonderful. But yeah, they're projecting themselves astrally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a big spell for the level they're at.
It is. That is.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And it's also funny because, again, this goes back to the fact that we know Vox Machina's story, but when, like, you know, Pike and Keyleth are mentioning, it's like, oh yeah, I've talked to gods before. I've met them. Some of them are cool. Some of them are bad.
It's like a very humble brag.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I do like the kind of just like, oh, you know, well, yes, I guess I've spoken to some gods. And it's just like, it's like acknowledging at the moment that it is a really cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah. It is not a normal thing in, you know, like the world of D&D to be directly contacting these gods and stuff. It's crazy because, again, you know, thinking mechanically of like levels in D&D, like a level 5 character is very capable, a very powerful individual.
Yeah, 100%.
And stuff. And like
they're like local, they're town heroes at that point, local legend. So so a level 20 cleric.
Oh yeah.
Just like, that's almost bordering on legendary. The cusp of godhood.
As Orm said, legendary individuals. But yes, they astral project themselves into this strange spiritual kind of Shadowfell adjacent-esque place to locate Laudna's soul.
And I want to mention how eager is not the right word, but how forthcoming Vex was to help them with this ritual.
Yes. Yeah.
We did talk a little bit about the fact that she was also deeply affected by Laudna's appearance.
Yeah.
So for her to and it's not to say go behind Percy's back, but it's essentially to not include Percy in this. I think is really important. She's saying like, no, this is important. This is something we need to do. Pike, I trust you to do this, and I'm prepared to pay for it. No, it was really exciting that she was on board at the very least, because it could have been played off as well. Well, no, I know how important this is to Percy as well, so we're not going to attempt it. But I guess in their view at this point, this isn't to bring Laudna back. This is to get rid of Delilah. So, it's not like they're trying to bring Laudna back at this point. It is just to try and destroy Delilah again.
Again. And it was, funny when they were kind of getting a briefing on Delilah's capabilities and stuff. And Pike was like, well, with the first time we killed her, we did this. And the second time we did this. Delilah has been a thorn in their side for a very long time. And maybe finally, as Pike was saying, if they are successful in untethering their souls, and then Pike was like, maybe I can banish her for good this time. Yeah. I feel like they've had a lot of for goods.
Actually destroy her. Like, get rid of this woman.
Yeah.
But people are also saying in chat, Orym got a +1 short sword. Very exciting.
That is
nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. It's it's a mistake I've made too as a martial character. It's starting your character with a sword that has significance to you, because then it's hard to buff it at that point. Yep. So Orym's sword's wonderful. Like, Orym's regular short sword's wonderful with the filigree and the design and everything. But then you got to put that aside for the clearly better sword. It's always tricky. Yeah, but it is what it is. Yeah. I can see Liam making the choice to go back to their regular sword after this. But it's nice that they've, at least for the time being, got a magic sword that they can do stuff with.
Definitely going to help, because as they enter this realm, this very dark realm, they seem to be in some kind of like a swamp type deal, like a very, I don't know. I was getting like swamp vibes because it was very like run down and stuff, and like the house.
And just the forest. It's like, and not to skip ahead, but based on what we saw at the end of the episode, it's like they're in like the upside down of Whitestone. So the swamp and the forest could have been like the parchwood and a swamp within the parchwood. And this is where Lorna, when she came back, she went and hid for a while, like somewhere on the outskirts of Whitestone. Spooky.
Very spooky. And
it's hard to know.
Combat.
Hard to know where they are exactly. It feels Shadowfellish, but at the same time, that's tricky. Like, I don't know how that works with astral projection necessarily. I think it works. I don't want to go into it because I haven't looked it up, but it feels very Shadowfell-esque. And whether or not they've delved into Lorna's essence and like they're managing to be in this kind of like mini realm, this sub realm where Lorna and Delilah are clinging to existence. I think that's what it's going to be. It's not necessarily a set realm. It's a pocket dimension. That's what I'm trying to think of. A pocket dimension, which is filled with aspects of Shadowfell, because we know Delilah and Vector and all that, they had a lot of influence within Shadowfell. Yeah. So, Domain of Dread. Yeah, it could be like a little Domain of Dread. So like a little pocket dimension of dread from the Shadowfell, kind of like Ravenloft is, if you've ever played Ravenloft. That's actually a really good call, Domain of Dread. It's a good call. Pocket Shadowfell is what I'm going to call it from now on.
Yes.
But it's bad. It's bad here. I don't like it.
It's not good. It's not good. And the entities that reside in this place are equally as bad, as we did have a brief combat against some of these creatures that reside within. Pretty nasty.
Pretty nasty, yeah. They
nasty.
They had some max HP taken from them, which is bad mechanically.
That's not good, especially because again, like Matt does these all the times where he'll have like a preliminary battle that the party goes through to kind of expend some of their resources before they go into the final battle. Again, it's just like, oh man, cutting their HP down a bit, making them use some spell slots.
Especially Chetney having less max HP is concerning.
Yeah.
Because that guy needs his health. Yep. Orym spent all his dice. He used all his superiority dice. I didn't catch that. Oof. Not that's not good.
Not good.
But even before the combat, though, we did get a scene. We saw this cabin, and we saw this avatar, this essence of Lorna.
Yeah.
Relive, like it's almost like it's replaying and reliving these moments from her past, and it's sad. It's really dark and really sad. And I saw a lot of people in the Twitch chat, not the Twitch chat, in our Discord Twitch chat, talking about it at the time. And I think Adam was saying a lot too. They're getting some insight into what Laudna's been through. Like she's older compared to them. Obviously not Chetney and Fern, but like she's older. She's like been around a couple decades. And she's been through strife and she's been through hardship. And they're getting a bit of a glimpse of this now of, you know, just the persecution she's faced for being what she is and who she is. So I'm hoping it kind of like leads to a little bit of like just care and love for Laudna when they do get her back, because she needs it. Like, this girl needs a hug after all this.
Yeah, it's very rough, and I do like the idea that we're kind of going through Laudna's memories in this, you know, upside down-esque realm, and it's terrifying, and it's again then sad then to see as they went through the cavern and they see the Sun Tree, they see, you know, Whitestone in that decrepit state that it was while under the reign of the Briarwoods. Sad. It's sad, especially since we just saw it in all of its glory. Not good.
Just had a really fun thought. If this is Shadowfell-esque and there's elements of Shadowfell in it, we could get some Sorrowsworn, which are like one of my favorite. Yeah. They're my favorite like enemies in D&D. Yeah. They're from the Shadowfell. Yeah. That'd be cool because I'm thinking if they're playing into like aspects of Laudna's sadness or Laudna's memories, they would be a perfect manifestation of those emotions. To come out and fuck with them because they're such cool creatures. But that being said, I think for next episode we are building up to this kind of combat with Delilah, and what is that going to look like if she's just this essence within Laudna? Are they going to have to fight Laudna while Delilah's still within her?
Ooh.
Imagine if they fight an avatar of Laudna with all her abilities, but boosted by Delilah.
Oh, man.
Because Delilah wants to be resurrected. She does not want to be detached. She's going to make it so that the Bell's Hells have a choice to make. It's either going to be, you can fight me and try to destroy me, but I'm taking her with me, or like you can help me and get us both out of here. So I can imagine it's going to be Delilah using Laudna to some extent to, you know, mutually assured destruction, or maybe if I get them to fight Laudna long enough, they'll eventually back down and have to help me. Ooh.
Yeah. I could see that, and again, we know that Delilah is fading, right? We know she's not as powerful as she might seem or appear to be. So there might not. It's going to be a climactic and deadly battle regardless. But we're going into it with the knowledge that Delilah is not at full power.
Yeah, that's true. But that's where I'm thinking maybe adds things like that. Chuck some Sorrowsworn in there. Let's go.
Exactly. But then we also have they can't remember. Something else to do with Delilah, but I lost it.
Adam brings up a point, and it's something we talked about again yesterday during the live chat, was maybe if they're able to interact with Laudna's essence, they'll be able to like get Marisha back at the table, so that she can still be present essentially for this. And then that would be interesting. Oh, that'd be interesting of then how do they work out combat from that? It'd be kind of cool if it was like, you know, PC versus PC of Marisha then has to play Laudna attacking the Bell's Hells. Which is so cool. I love it so much. It needs to happen more. It's so good.
I know. Huge fan of PvP.
I need to go rewatch that succubus scene from campaign 2.
Yeah, right. Light them up. Yeah, that was really good. But then I remember what I was gonna say. Again, like it while I do like that this is happening, again, it feels like I kind of wish something like this was happening down the line when they're like, you know, like level 10 plus, just so that they feel more powerful. Because now, while they are capable, it doesn't feel like they are fighting against Delilah capable. But then again, we have to consider that she is not at full power. It is just like a sliver of herself, a fraction of her soul that is here. So it is in the realm of possibility that the Belt Cells would be able to fight against her. But again, it would have been cool if they were, you know, like level 10 plus fighting against like a moderately powered Delilah in a stronger form.
I wonder if this was because we know that for I feel like we know it a little bit at least that for Marisha, her goal for Lorna was to get rid of Delilah and to you know heal and become corporeal, become real, like essentially, like do away with the Hollow One aspect. So I'm wondering if this was a plan that Matt had if it ever came to necessity for Lorna to be, you know, Lorna's down, she needs to come back. This is the path we go. Whether or not that included Vox Machina in his initial plan or not is one thing, because, like we said, they were initially going to go to, where was it? When they went and spoke to Estros, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a woman who owes me a favor. She can teleport you somewhere." They were going to go to Vasselheim, weren't they? They were going to go try to meet Keyleth in Vasselheim. Yeah. I mean, that could have been another option. Maybe they could have been like, "Let's go to Vasselheim and try and find someone there that can help us." But I feel like, to some extent, what we're going to see next episode might have been planned for a while from Matt's perspective.
Yes, totally agree.
How they got there would have been the thing that they took some time to work out with Vox Machina and Keyleth and Whitestone and all this sort of stuff. But I think this next section is going to be the thing he'd planned for Lorna's backstory if it ever came to this point. So I'm really excited for it because I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But again, that plays into the scaling of it. Like, if it was something he had planned, it was something that ideally you imagine he would have had prepared for different levels for where they were at.
Right.
So the fact that they're doing it now, which to us seems kind of early, we have a weakened Delilah. If it had happened 10 levels down the line, maybe we would have had a full power Delilah or something along those lines. I'm
and
excited.
again, because we know Matt plays with timelines, and we know he has other things that happen behind the scenes that continue to progress while the story's going on. Because, you know, in campaign 2, we had him constantly progressing the conflict between the dynasty and the Empire. And it's like, I mean, if you guys were in Felderwin during this time, you would have been a part of the attack on Felderwin and stuff. Like, these things are constantly happening. So it's like, you know, 10 levels down the line, Delilah would have progressed to become more powerful, more tethered to the material world, that, they probably would have had a much more difficult time fighting her because she would have been more ingrained. No, it's awesome. So now it's just all about scaling it down to their level. We're figuring out how that's going to play out with her being in this weakened state. But I am excited to see what Matt has crafted in this realm for Lana and for this very climactic story beat.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the chat as well talk about what happens when Lorna comes back. So let's say theoretically they destroy Delilah, or, you know, get rid of her at this point. She's come back before, but she's no longer attached to Lorna, and they're able to do a resurrection spell on her. I think everything going well and it's successful. I don't really know. I think if they manage to raise dead her, she will come back. And she'll be alive. She'll be free of Delilah. But then you got to wonder, is she still going to have her Hollow One essence? Because if you think of raised dead, it's only if they've been dead for less than 10 days, which Lorna as a Hollow One has been only dead for 10 days after her battle with Otahan. I think if they want to fully free her of her what makes her from her time of being on the Sun Tree, it's going to be like true resurrection, which again, Keyleth is saying that's a big spell. That's like really expensive. But I could see her coming back as herself, the one that we've seen for the past 36 episodes, just without Delilah. So, which then raises other questions of what happens to her warlock capabilities. Does she lose her warlock levels? Do they become inert? Does she have to find another patron to like take care of that? It's tricky.
And it is tricky, and that's probably a conversation that Marisha and Matt have had. It is a very, very real thing that is going to happen, where it's like, how do we balance your character once this
Yeah.
is severed? Like, where do your powers go? Do you still have a connection to
Yeah,
something?
are they converted into sorceress origins? Like, is there like
Yeah.
a sub sorceress origins? Like Raven Queen Warlock? Yeah, I think I'm not sure we're going to get any Raven Queen connections. I know, I don't, but it could be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't really had too much insight into Lordna having any spiritual connection, have we? Into any kind of the godly connection.
Not really. And I mean, I guess the two gods that come to mind right now are the Changebringer and Sarenrae.
Yeah. They're the only ones we've really had this campaign in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is interesting and how that's gonna play out.
No, I'm excited for it because I feel like, but anything could go wrong. They could fail against fighting Delilah and Lorna could be gone for good, which I like as well because it does definitely feel like this is, Lorna goes down, Marusha wants to keep playing Lorna, so Matt makes that the possibility of, well, yes, we can try to bring her back, but there is a process. And the process can still fail. So it's not being straight up, your character died, your character's dead. Move on, make a new character. It's listening to your player, and if your player says, hey, I kind of still really want to play this character, there's a lot going on with this character, you can make it happen. Like as a DM, you can make it happen. But still not without the risk of it failing. So I feel like next episode's going to be the crux of it of it has to work. Otherwise, Lorna is going to be gone, or Delilah maintains control and Lorna becomes an NPC, which is super exciting. I'm super keen for the next episode.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be sad and dark and fucked and just.
I can't wait. You know what also would be fucked is if they do successfully, sever the connection, but like, what if another member of the Bell's Hells like dies during trying to
while they're there, yeah. I think if you die while astral projecting, though, you go back to your body at 0 hit points. I don't think you die. I know Pike says you die.
Yeah,
I don't think you die.
If your tether gets destroyed, you're like gone.
Let's quickly look it up because it's important to what happened. I was under the impression that if you drop to 0 hit points while astral projecting, your soul goes back into your body and you're at 0 hit points. I might be wrong. Let's see. If the creature's soul is both... No. Oh, that's raised dead. I didn't change the spell. It's like, oh, that's interesting wording.
Yeah, if they die, but I think then the question was, like, what if their tether gets destroyed?
Yes. So if the cord is cut, something that can happen only when an effect specifically states that it does, your soul... Okay, so... Yes. So if you return to your body prematurely, your companions remain in their actual forms, must find their own back. Yes, so if you drop to 0 hit points, you return to your body at 0 hit points. So you're unconscious, back in the material plane, that's fine. There's a cleric there. She's got you. If your cord is cut, then you die. Your body and soul are separated and you are killed instantly. So I'm trying to look at things now that have the ability to sever a cord. Phase spiders apparently can do it. They've fought phase spiders before, I think. Yeah, so astral dreadnoughts. A few things can sever the cord. And I think it's within the realm of reasoning to imagine that Matt comes up with another feature that can do that as well.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, look, Philip just gave us a perfect description of it. Dead thunder wounds, kicked into your plane. If tether was cut, dead. Should have waited for Philip.
I mean, hopefully nothing like that happens. But again, we're all here for the angst. But we'll have to wait and see. And thankfully, this didn't end at the end of the month, and we'd have a cliffhanger. We do get the answers next episode, next week, to be precise. Well, before we wrap up, is there any final words we would like to speak for this episode? I don't think so. It's nice seeing Vox Machina again.
It's nice, yeah.
Wonderful.
I was always worried that if we ever had like a return of a previous campaign's group, it might feel a bit fan servicey.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It didn't feel like
No.
fan service. It felt really natural and
It did.
earned. So it was really nice. Yeah, just nice to see them again. See that they're doing well.
Yeah.
I was really hoping
together.
Grog would have been there, but that might have been too much.
That would have been nice. That would have been nice. But this does get me hyped for the potential of the Mighty Nine coming back and seeing how that will unfold. I'm very excited. Very, very excited where this is going.
Yeah.
But everyone, with all that being said, I think we can go ahead and call this one a wrap. So as always, thank you all so much for coming out, hanging out with us. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in live, chatting with us, hanging out. Thank you to everyone who's going to be watching this on the upload on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, or wherever else this podcast may find itself. Thank you all for your support. If you are looking to support us further, be sure to follow us on Twitter, our own socials, as well as our podcast Twitter that is going to be at WhatTheSheepPod on Twitter. Links to all of those will be in the description down below, as well as a link to our website, whatthesheeppodcast.com, where all of our socials will be linked once again. All of our podcasts that you can listen to there as well. You can also like leave reviews and stuff. So if you are looking to support us further, check out our website, check out our socials, give us a follow. We appreciate you all. Thank you for watching. And so everyone, as always, don't forget to love each other. Spread the love to everyone you meet, to everyone you see. The world needs more love in it, so make sure you're spreading it around. But make sure you're also loving yourself. That is the most important thing you can do. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Drink some water, eat some food, get plenty of rest. I'm proud of you, and thank you for being here. And so, in conclusion, with all of that being said, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you may be on this glorious earth. And we will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.